Hello, friends, and welcome to the Kismet podcast. I'm your host, Jackie Abramov, and I'm so grateful you're here. I haven't been here in a while, and I'm really glad to be back. It's a long story that I'm sure I'm going to share at some point. But for now, for today, I want to talk about the new moon in Virgo. If you want to connect with me, you can connect with me at kismetmystic.com or on Instagram at inspire_authenticity. I'd love to hear from you. I do readings. I work in Phoenix, and if there's anyone in the area that wants to come to any of my events, connect with me and see how you can come out and join the community. Okay. So I think that this is a significant month for all of us to be aware of, especially if you're someone who is on a spiritual journey. We have been through a lot this year, and this month is the marker of a theme and a specific transformation that's getting ready to happen in our lives, individually and collectively. So Virgo, we're in Virgo season. This is the Virgo New Moon happening September the 2nd. It's happening in the evening here in Phoenix. Virgo is this energy and this archetype that is typically thought of as the Virgin. Now, there's a million things that I could share about Virgo energy, but this is just kind of one of the themes that was coming up for me as I was contemplating this new moon. And the Virgin archetype often gets like a really bad rap in our culture. It's like, who wants to be a virgin? No one likes that thought or the idea of being a virgin. And it's basically something that's shamed. We don't like to think of ourselves as being a virgin either sexually or at anything that we do. It's like, oh, we're a virgin at this. Meaning we've never done it before. We don't know what we're doing. And it also has this feeling that, like, if you're a virgin, you don't have experience. You don't know something someone else knows, which is partially true, right? Because if we haven't had an experience, then we don't know what that experience is like. Except that we have lived countless lifetimes, and so we're actually not virgin in anything. But also this is a shadow projection. And when we're in our shadow, we tend to want to shame people for the things that we feel ashamed of. So this comes from a deep fear of just not being good enough, right? And this is a cultural fear. This is something that we culturally have this fear of, that we are somehow tarnished in life, and that this means that we aren't good in some way. And anyone who isn't tarnished, like a virgin, that's the one who we should shame. And that's shadow. That's what shadow wants to do. It's like, oh, see, that's the bad thing. Being the virgin is the thing that's bad. But what's fascinating is that in mythopoetic language, in mythology, the word virgin is said to have been derived from a Greek word that means not attached to a man. Now, women will hear this and we love that, right? We're like, yeah, not me, I'm not attached to a man. But men are Virgos too. And therefore, a man who is a virgin would be someone who is not attached to a woman, because we are looking at it from a holistic perspective. But coming back to that idea of a virgin being someone who is not attached to a man, right? This is a woman who is one unto herself. And the examples in Greek mythology and Roman mythology and other mythologies would be Diana, Ishtar, Isis, and Athena. Those were all considered virgins, but they weren't virgins in that they didn't have sex. They were virgins in that they were whole unto themselves. They weren't attached to a man. So it's just fascinating, that this word is bigger than we give it credit for. Now, Virgo also tends to relate to this idea of purification and being pure. which is another word and concept that is shamed by culture, right? We don't like the idea of being pure. That means, again, inexperienced. And that is somehow something that we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be that, because that is bad. But purification is actually something that has to do with refinement and observation and coming. It actually has to do with experimenting and coming to an understanding of what brings health, what brings wholeness, what works and what doesn't work. This is the real strength of Virgo energy, right? Is knowing what works for you and your body and what does not work. And that's a process of purifying yourself through your daily habits, your rituals, your practices, which is a very important part of Virgo's energy. But, Virgo has a shadow, and the shadow of Virgo is this critical, perfectionistic, never good enough energy. And that's something that you want to be aware of. That's that shadow projection again of like, well, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not good enough. If I'm not completely pure, I'm not good enough. So it's important to remember during Virgo season and when we're thinking about the new moon and what intentions we're going to be setting, that Virgo is really connected with what brings health and vitality and healing to the body. It's this archetype of the holistic healing energy. And in order to holistically heal yourself, you have to go through a purification process, which means you have to clear out your vessel. You have to figure out what you're putting in the vessel that's making you sick. You have to contemplate, you have to experiment, right? And this is the mutable energy of the earth, of Virgo's sign. It's all about needing to discover, trial and error, investigation, experimenting. That is the purification process, right? It's not doing anything and not trying anything. The purification process is trying all the things to see what will actually produce results. So Virgo is a season and an archetype that reminds us and connects us with being diligent in our bodies and our vessels, remembering, knowing that the mind and the body are intricately woven together, that they cannot be separated, and trusting the body to give us the answers that we need in order to purify our vessels, get any toxins out. And this is very important when it comes to the purification process, and just when we're thinking about what are we doing in Virgo season, what are we doing with Virgo's energy. And this can be taken to many other levels. It's not just the body, but that's just one way that you can look at it. So another important thing with the shadow of Virgo is remembering that often Virgo can get very stuck in the mind. We can be anxious. We can swirl in our thoughts. We can feel like we just can't rest. And that is because you're not spending your time working towards something that is gonna give you results. And you're maybe controlling or trying to control someone or something outside of you. Now, when we do that, we try to purify other people. That's a very Virgo energy. Oh, I'll fix everyone. I'll serve everyone else. I'll take care of everyone else's needs. Then we actually don't do what Virgo energy is asking us to do, which is the N1, the experiment on yourself, figure out for yourself what works, and then you can speak into other people's lives without needing to fix them or save them or make them better, right? Because once you have purified your own self, once you've gone on your own healing journey, you understand that everyone needs to take their own life into their hands. So if you find yourself, spinning your wheels, swirling, remember that, you need to be working on something that's going to give you tangible results. This is Virgo, Earth. It wants to grow something. It wants to produce something substantial. So give yourself small tasks, small little things to do. And Virgo loves us to count up all the little things and see how the little things make a huge difference, right? It's like tending to a garden. That's a very Virgo energy of, you have to work the garden, you have to purify it, you have to weed, you have to come in and pick the vegetables, you have to do something with it nearly every day if you want it to be thriving and flourishing. So, and then also noticing like what is healthy here, what is not growing, what needs to be adjusted in the garden. Now, Virgo energy is always connected with Pisces energy because they're on the same axis. And Pisces energy is all about the spiritual, the depth, the deeper reason for life, the connection to the whole, to the oneness, seeing that yes, while we tend to our little vessel, our one vessel in this huge, vast universe, we're actually doing our part for the whole. And that's that axis of remembering that we're a drop in the ocean or an ocean in a drop, right? It's like we're the whole thing, and everything that we do for ourselves actually does impact the collective, does matter for the bigger scheme of life. And now, Pisces is also how we connect spiritually, and it's about transcending into these higher states of consciousness. And this is very related to our health, right? When we are sick in our bodies, when we're in pain, when we're in discomfort, you can't transcend because you're stuck in the here and the now, trying to get out of the pain, get out of the discomfort. So when we're healthy in our bodies, it gives us the power and the ability to transcend into those higher states of consciousness. And of course, the shadow of these two energies has to do with avoidance. This is all about avoiding taking care of yourself, avoiding going into the deeper spiritual things. It can be an energy that is, wants to escape into food or pleasure, can be very hard and critical on yourself. So if you're feeling any of those things, remember that this is about ritual, taking care of yourself first. And that's also an important theme to remember, right? Is that both Pisces and Virgo are constantly overgiving and overcaring energies. This is the time that you want to be caring about your own health. So this new moon is super important for another reason, which is that it's the opening energy for the eclipse energies for this fall. And this first eclipse is like a hybrid eclipse. We're having a eclipse in the nodal axis of Pisces and Virgo, but we don't have the nodes moving into Pisces and Virgo until January. So this is a preface energy. We're getting ready to see what's about to shift and change in our lives. What are the major themes that are going to come up? And this new moon and this eclipse this month are both going to give us some energetic clarity around what it is that we're going to be working through. And the nodes, again, they don't start until January the 11th. They're going to go until 2026 in the summer. And, we want to be paying attention to like what house are these Pisces Virgo energies in? Which houses are they in? What axis are we working with on houses? That's going to help us determine the area of life that we want to be connecting with. So what we want to be thinking about, okay, what's coming up in this area of life? Now, if you don't know your time of birth, if you don't know your chart, you can just connect with the energetic themes that I'm talking about. So new moons are times of planting seeds of intention. This is important to remember as we're going into this new moon tomorrow. This is about going inward. It's contemplation. There's the darkness of the cycle is coming inward. We want to plant something so that it can grow in our lives. And that's why I said knowing the house can be helpful, because then you can think about, okay, like what area of life might this be impacting over the next 2 years? So a word that gets thrown around a lot is manifestation. And while I like the word manifestation, I do not mean it in the overly woo-woo way of superficial repeating mantras and all light and love, right? Manifestation is about cultivation. And we don't want to get caught up in that word. So, we want to inspire the essence of what are you cultivating in your life? What are you focusing on? What are you giving your attention to, right? Where is your energy going? Because where your energy goes, your attention flows. And this is the seeds of intention you're planting in your life. Therefore, this is what's going to be produced. And this is what's going to manifest in your life. So, for example, like if you're looking for, you want to get out of your job, you want a job, let's say you put on your cultivation intention list, I want a job with X, Y, and Z. Okay. That's your intention. But let's say every single day you go to work, you are unhappy there, you come home, you feel stuck, you turn on the TV, you zone out. You tell your friends and family about how much you hate your job, how hard it is to find another job. Let's say you're, constantly engaging with other people who have similar struggles. Then you are giving your attention to the opposite of what you want in your life. So you're constantly programming yourself with more of the thing that's keeping you stuck. Now, I'm not saying, oh, you need to kind of just come home every day and say, this mantra. No, but you do have to take time and make intentional action towards what you do want in your life. So what inspires you when you get off work? How can you use that time to do something that makes you feel alive? If you're going to work and, how can you reframe your view about your workplace? How can you begin to stir up hope and dreams inside of yourself? Begin to write down ideas of what could be possible. Begin to, consider what would really make you happy. Start doing those things and your path is going to open up, right? But you need to be surrounding yourself with creativity and expansion and not complaining and being stuck. We go through that. There's no judgment there, but just being aware that, you're planting the seeds of intention by what you're saying. So, you have to cultivate this new belief system in your body, your mind, and your spirit. That's Virgo and Pisces axis. Very strong energy of like you're programming yourself. How are you programming yourself? I have another example, but I think I'm going to hold off on that. So we have the sun and the moon at 11 degrees of Virgo. So where's 11 degrees of Virgo in your chart? You want to connect with that. 11, of course, is a master number, beautiful manifesting number, very, may connect to a planet or a point in your chart. If it does, then it's more significant. The 11 degrees of Virgo is connected to this Sabian symbol of a veil being torn off of a bride, which is super fascinating when we think about all the things that we've been going through and the different, processes that have been coming up over this year and the ways that you have grown and the things, the truths you've seen. This month, maybe this next 6 months, could be a period of time where the veil is being lifted in a new way. Something you did not expect kind of coming out of the woodworks. Maybe something that you had an inner knowing about, suddenly, finally, you're getting the tangible, you see the truth for what it really is. So I think that's a really fascinating concept for this new moon, something to journal about, something to think about as you're contemplating your intentions and what you're wanting to see transform in your life, over the next 2 years. Now, as you can see here, we have Saturn in an opposition to the sun and the moon. And so right off the bat, this tells us that, there is something about this lunation this upcoming cycle that is related to like the Saturn that's been moving through Pisces. And you again want to see what house are these planets in for you. You know, Saturn is this part of our chart that's asking us to like take ownership and responsibility for ourselves. This is Saturn's been moving through Pisces since March of 2023. And this is very much connected with like, where have we lost ourselves in the illusions and fantasies and idealism? The Saturn transit is bringing up, you know, how we need to take ownership of ourselves and our lives and our own spiritual path. And interestingly, Saturn's going to finish this transit in Pisces in early 2026, while the nodes are finishing up in Pisces and Virgo as well. So it's interesting. Saturn's representing this readiness for our souls that are ready to take that sovereignty, that step into that sovereignty in a way that maybe we haven't before. Saturn, you know, represents where we give our authority away. And, you know, typically we give our authority away to the government, to our partner, to our boss, to our father, to our friends, some of us to our family members. And we can give our authority away in like very simple ways or very complex ways. And it can be as simple as choosing what to eat, right? Sometimes we don't want to choose what to eat. Like we want our partner to choose that for us. That's us giving our authority away to our partner. We're saying, you be the Saturn, you decide what I want. So wherever we're thinking about this transit and this new moon, it's like, where are we being tested right now to own the authority of our spiritual health, our spiritual awareness, right? Saturn wanting to get the Saturn part of us is the part that wants authority, but tends to give it to someone else. So this could be like you wanting a boss to tell you what to do. This can be like you wanting a boss to recognize you at work instead of recognizing yourself. This could be you wanting a partner that is going to make you happy instead of understanding that literally nothing they can do can make you happy, because your happiness that only comes from within yourself, right? This is people who want the government to fix all the problems in the world without understanding that the government can no more fix the problems of the world than you can like get a 2-year-old child to eat something they don't want, right? Like you can't force anyone to do something. You just can't force them to do it, right? So, you know, we often like want someone to force things onto others. And this is a very Saturn thing, laws and rules and wanting things to be governed. But the real inner part of us, the real inner Saturn, wants us to be a law unto ourselves, wants us to be our own authority, to know what is a yes for us and what is a no. Well, to know what we want to eat today, to know what we don't want to eat, to know where we want to go, to know where we don't want to go, right? But that comes with responsibility, and that's hard, right? So we're thinking about like connecting to ourselves and becoming the, you know, authority of our own life. This is, you know, difficult because we've been kind of programmed. We programmed ourselves since we were very young to believe that someone else knows more than us. One way that a lot of people, especially with this transit, are going to give their power away is they're going to give their power away to psychics, to astrologers, to spiritual people, to holistic healers. Don't do that. That is the shadow of this Saturn in Pisces energy. You are your own spiritual authority. And that's what I'm seeking to teach everyone that I work with, is that you don't need a guru. No, you are the guru. You are the leader, and you need to learn to become that for yourself. That's where your joy is going to be, right? It's like we're here to become sovereign. And, again, this is the hard thing to do. No one likes this. This is why Saturn gets a bad rap in astrology, is because doing things on your own requires coming out from the tribe. It requires being different. It requires solitude. It requires alone time. It requires the capacity to make decisions that other people will not understand. Um, it's just not an easy thing to do. So much I could say about that. But with this opposition, you might feel like a tension around something for yourself spiritually. This could come up and be shown in something like, maybe you're seeing the disconnect in your own life between what you say you believe and how you're living your life, because Saturn wants us to have congruency between those two things. This could also be that you're witnessing this in some area of your life. So maybe you're seeing people that you work with pushing something under the rug, not wanting to deal with something, and something's being avoided, and you feel the responsibility to speak up or to do something about it. And this could also be like some kind of addiction that you're becoming aware of. Oh man, like I need to deal with this. This is not good. It's producing really bad results in my life. This could also be, and I'm kind of jumping on around with themes that could relate to the houses here. This could be something about your friends. This could be realizing you no longer fitting in with your friend group, and that you're going to have to make some kind of changes. And that opposition with Saturn and the sun and the moon is showing that tension of like, are you going to do the hard thing? This could also have to do with some leadership qualities that you see in someone else, maybe in a partner, where you're realizing, oh, you're giving all your power away to them, or maybe to a religion, and realizing you're going to have to like step back from that thing, right? This opposition could reveal some things that you do not want to see, right? Because Saturn in Pisces is seeing through the illusions. It's choosing to say, oh, I see what's happening here, and no longer going to do that. And like I was saying before, this has to do with, in order to gain sovereignty, we have to separate ourselves from others, because we have to get out of tribal thinking. We have to get out of group thinking in order to follow our own intuition. This is always challenging. Everyone who has been on a spiritual path knows that this is the journey, right? This is the journey every spiritual teacher has had to go through, of separating themselves and learning how to become their own authority. Now, there's a shadow to this Saturnian energy, which is this, sense of righteousness, that we could see a lot with the upcoming elections. Saturn energy can become very focused on righteousness, and this sense of feeling very justified in your own beliefs or in a political party's beliefs. And both political parties are 100% doing this all the time. This is what political parties do. They think that they're being righteous, and this is, the illusion of being connected with an authority. So just be aware of that for yourself, for others, that the government, political systems, they're not our authority. They have no authority over you unless you give it to them, but it's still you giving it to them, right? They can't do anything to fix the problems of the world any more than you can in your everyday life, because we can't control people. So, and we just can't force the world to do anything, right? All change comes from personal transformation. Now, we have Jupiter that's in a square to Saturn. And for some of us, this is going to be like, really feeling like we're able to take some steps to actualize taking our power back. Some people are going to be getting like a lot of ideas and a lot of inspiration to do the hard things. And that's going to be a really supportive, beautiful square. For other people, this square is going to bring in a ton of distractions. Jupiter in Gemini is jumping from one thing to another. It's not able to focus. It's not being able to pay attention. It's being stuck in the mind. It's wanting to be busy instead of doing Saturn work, right? Saturn is about doing the work, and Jupiter in that square is either going to make beautiful opportunities for you to expand and do everything that's hard for you, or that Jupiter square is going to distract you with all the things that seem fun, but are not liberating you and are not bringing you on a path of sovereignty. And whatever happens, it's your journey. It's just being aware. What do you want to produce in your life right now, right? No judgment. You get to decide. Now, of course, Pluto just moved back into Capricorn today, September the 1st. And it will be in a sextile to Neptune. And, Neptune's at 29 degrees. Neptune's been working with this Piscean energy as well. Neptune's been bringing up tons of collective traumas and illusions and fantasies. And this sextile and this energy is very much about this like larger scale energy that's kind of unfolding, this evolutionary energy about what it means to be sovereign. Where again, Saturn rules Capricorn and Neptune rules Pisces. So we're dealing with that Saturn and Neptune, Saturn, Pisces, Capricorn, Pisces energy, which is very much about the sovereign spiritual soul. And this has a lot to do with coming out of these systems of religion and politics. They're very connected of like, this is the one way that we get there. And you're either in this or you're not, or you're either good or you're bad, right? And us needing to take our sovereignty back and say, I'm deciding this is right for me today, and maybe next week or next year, something else will be right for me, but I know what's right for me today and you don't. And like I said, this is going to be the polarized thinking where a lot of people are going to struggle with being on that right and wrong, wanting to label other people as right or wrong, and having that polarized energy. If you want to think in terms of your evolution, stop thinking about what everyone else is doing. Don't worry about what they're doing. Worry about what you're doing. You are enough for you to control. And you literally can't control anybody else. So, come inward, come in and check in with yourself. Like, where are you trying to give your authority away? Because wherever you are giving your authority away, the rest of the culture is doing the same thing. And we don't want to shame ourselves for that. We just want to become aware so that we can get our power back. And come out of the illusions, right? Because the illusions really don't satisfy us. Now, they have the appearance of satisfaction for a little while, right? Like, drugs have that effect where they feel good for a little while, but if you've ever done them, the coming down off of them is extremely horrific. So it's like that with the illusions of culture and money and just all the things as well. Now, Mars is in a square to Neptune, and this could give you some inner motivation. This could be like a feeling of a wake-up call, some message that comes to you, because Mars is in Gemini, getting ideas that you feel really inspired to do. Again, squares are not always bad aspects. Squares can be really helpful. Like, are you going to do this thing that feels challenging? Are you going to do this thing that you don't know how to do yet? And Mars in Gemini is an inspiring energy. But for others, Mars in Gemini is not going to be inspiring. It's going to feel like projection and outrage and blame and, people feeling like they need to tell other people what's right and what's wrong. So just remember that, we don't need to take on other people's rage. That actually Neptune is the stronger energy, and Neptune is the energy of diffusing conflicts, okay? Adopting an aggressive stance is not going to resolve anger and rage in other people. So if you are faced with outrage, if you are faced with conflict, you don't want to respond with that, because that will not diffuse it. To diffuse it, to dissolve it, we want to come with the wisdom of Neptune, the wisdom of creativity, of beauty, of seeing the beauty in others, even when they're angry, even when they're enraged, even when we disagree with them. This is being able to be conscious, to understand spiritual law and understand the power of spirituality, understanding that you can always de-escalate any energy if you have access to conscious Neptune. Conscious Neptune's extremely powerful. Too much to say on that. Okay, let me finish here. Mercury is in trine to Chiron. Now, Mercury is the ruler of the sun and the moon in Virgo. And this is important for this lunation in bringing up awareness. Mercury is the mind, it's the messenger. We could be, and again, we have that, the veil being torn off the bride here. So maybe new awareness is coming to you. This could be about your body, about health. This could be about past wounds that you've had. Chiron being our greatest wounds. Chiron being where we're healing, what we're healing in this lifetime. And being things that we're very sensitive to. So notice what you're sensitive to, where you're triggered, and instead of making someone else at fault, do the Saturn thing, which is take ownership. Wow, I'm sensitive here. I created this story. I did this. How can I shift my reality, right? And Mercury is in Leo. So you do want to be very careful with your pride and arrogance coming up, because Chiron is in Aries and Mercury is in Leo, and that's fiery energy that could be very, very prideful, very stuck in your own way. And that, of course, is not going to serve us, but some people will experience that. Now, Venus is conjunct the South Node, and Lilith is conjunct Venus as well. So there is this feeling, which I didn't put that on the chart, but there is this feeling for this new moon and this nodal axis kind of coming up of like, we are releasing some weight, still releasing some old ways of relating to people. Now, this is going to be friendships. This is going to be ways of connecting. This is going to be ways of being in love, ways of defining beauty. This is a time to redefine beauty and love and relationship and what it means to be in those in ways that actually feel aligned. Now, Venus in Libra can be very graceful, very beautiful energy, give us this capacity to let go of things with goodwill in our heart. But Lilith is here, and Lilith can add some flair of melodrama if we are not being intentional, if we're not being very conscious. So some melodrama might come up. Don't take it personally if other people are experiencing your change in ways that feel personal to them. That is for them to figure out on their journey, not you to figure out for them, right? Let's see, what else? You know, some questions. I guess I'll just start by saying, I'll finish by saying that there's just some questions that you could be thinking about what you are wanting to commit to, right? Because we have Saturn, the planet of commitment, in opposition to the sun and the moon, and Virgo being about taking care of our health and our bodies and our spirituality. So just checking in, what are the habits? Are you escaping from something? What are the intentions you want to set around your health, around your spiritual journey, around taking sovereign, taking on, your own sovereignty? What does that look like for you? And then being super clear on any of the shadows of Virgo's energy. Where are you saying that you're not good enough? Where are you hearing that pop up for you? You really want to be clear on the ways that you're judging and criticizing yourself so that you can bring compassion to that part of you, right? Virgo the shadow of Virgo is criticism, but Virgo works with Pisces, and when they're working together well, we are able to bring that wholeness and that sense of compassion to ourselves and bring healing to that part of ourselves that we were previously criticizing. So remember that your body is full of wisdom, and that is Virgo's energy, reminding us that when we purify, when we listen to the body, it tells us exactly what it needs. It tells us what not to do. It tells us what doesn't feel good. And the more that you listen to the body, the better you're going to feel, the higher you're going to be able to connect with yourself and your soul and your spirit. So I'm trying to talk really fast because the sun is going down and I don't really like turning the lights on. So let me just try to finish up. What else I want to share? Yeah. So some examples. Your body tells you don't eat fast food anymore. So let's say that you stop eating fast food, right? You listen to the body and then you become more and more sensitive then to the next thing it's going to tell you. And maybe the next thing your body says is don't drink any soda. And let's say you go through that and you don't have any soda. But if you tell yourself that you're bad if you do this, okay, if you say to yourself, I'm bad if I eat fast food, I'm bad if I eat that, that kind of programming is not empowering. And it's very important for you to understand this because Virgo is so critical that even if you're doing the right thing for yourself, if you did it in a way that is critical, you're going to produce some dissension and something off in the body. So you really want to make sure that what you're doing is just aligning with the energy of my body doesn't feel good with this. Energetically, this isn't aligned for me. I don't need to bring any judgment into it, just that it's not aligned for me. Also, if you're ever in a situation where the only thing to eat is fast food, you do not want to be having told yourself and programmed yourself that you're bad if you're going to eat this. That's not going to help you. That's not going to serve you. So what you want to do in programming yourself is saying, this no longer energetically aligns for me, and therefore I'm going to release it. So that's kind of a simple example, but I really wanted to put that in here because we do not want to be critical on ourselves. That is not helpful at all. We really, really need to understand ourselves and understand how we're programming ourselves. This is why I work with the somatic release, Reiki, and reprogramming, because what you are telling yourself when you're trying to reprogram is extremely important. And you can actually not free and liberate yourself through your reprogramming if you reprogram with belief systems that are going to continue to make you live in shame and guilt. And from what I have experienced, it's a very subtle energy, and it can be difficult to understand and get the language for what's actually empowering and what is not. So I believe that's all I have for you today. I really hope that you have a beautiful new moon. Sorry for the quality at the end of this video, but hopefully you're not watching it to watch me, but to listen to what I'm sharing about these archetypes and energy and what you're getting ready to embark on your own journey. If you are in the Phoenix area, you want to connect, again, reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. But that's all I have for now. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.